Good day, everyone. I'm Roma Joy B. Completado, your tour guide for today's online trip. For today's online trip, I'll be showing to you the different historical landmarks here in Negros Occidental. But before that, let us first know what we mean when we say heritage site. A historic site or heritage site is an official location where pieces of political, military, cultural, and social history have been preserved due to their cultural heritage value. Historic sites are usually protected by law, and many have been recognized with the official National Historic Site status. Now, let's proceed to our online trip. First spot, the Manuel Severino Hoflinia Heritage House. Severino Heritage House was built in 1934 during the World War II. The Hoflinia Ancestral House is the residence of the late Manuel Severino Hoflinia and his family. It is located in 5 de Noviembre Street, Silay City, in the province of Negros Occidental, Philippines. The home was built by Hoflinia for his wife Hilda Ledesma Ohilia, a former Miss Silay, and their 9 children. The Hoflinia Ancestral House has a historical marker installed by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, or NHCP, on April 6, 1993. Next up, we have the Infante Heritage House. The Infante House in Hacienda Guadalupe, La Carlota, Negros Occidental was the home of Don Rodolfo Infante and Donna Rosita Sanchez. It was built in the year 1929. It is a well-preserved example of a hacienda house set in the midst of a farm. It is surrounded by a chapel, sugar mill, tenant houses, and sheds. It was declared a heritage house in the year 2001. Inside, many of the Infante's family's furniture can still be seen. A long, rectangular wooden table lined with chair was probably used by the family as their dining table. Their old television gives us an idea of the earliest TVs in the country looked like, while vintage decorative accessories as well as photos of the family members shows us glimpse of the family members of Infante and their way of life. The bedroom is adorned with a wooden bed befitting a royal castle. One corner of the house has been decorated with life-size and small religious figures. Other interesting details you see in the house when you pay a visit includes a mirror bordered with elegant patterns and a wooden clock with a swinging pendulum. Talk about old world glamour living indeed. Next up is the Negros Occidental Provincial Capital. The Negros Occidental Provincial Capital was built in the year 1933. The Negros Occidental Provincial Capital is the seat of the provincial government of Negros Occidental. It is located at Tutuslao Street, Bacolod City, Philippines. Within its complex is the Capital Park and Lagoon. In July 2001, rehabilitation of the capital was initiated by the Governor Joseph G. Marañon, and it was inaugurated on June 23, 2004. On July 19, 2004, the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, under Resolution No. 9, declared it as a National Historical Landmark. Next up is the General Anicito Lacson Historical Landmark. The General Anicito Lacson Ancestral Home was declared a National Historic Landmark by the National Historic Institute in the year 2002. For General Araneta, the NSC crew was welcomed into General Juan Araneta Residence and Landmark Museum in Baguio City. The house was given to the general by a relative shortly after the revolution. The house was built in 1880 by General Anicito Lacson, a Katipunero who together with General Juan Araneta of Baguio City successfully led a province-wide revolt against the Spanish on November. Next, we have the German Luxin und Sohn Heritage House. It was built in the year 1938. This opulent home was owned by the late German Luxin und Sohn and Fred de la Rama Ledesma and Son before it was opened as a bed and breakfast. The younger daughter shared that her grandfather, Dr. Lope de la Rama, was the original owner of the house, who was also one of the doctors that time, then handed over the ownership to her daughter, Fe, later on. Our next spot is the Bernardo Lopez Halandoni Ancestral House. It was built in 1908 by Don Bernardino and his wife, Isabel Halandoni y Ledesma. It is known as the Pink House due to its exterior color. The Bernardino Halandoni Museum, also known as the Bernardino Halandoni House, located along Rizal Street, Silay City in the province of Negros Occidental, Philippines. On November 6, 1993, the National Historical Institute declared the Halandoni House a National Historical Landmark, the first to be recognized as such in the city of Silay. Our next location is Dr. Jose Corteza Locsin Heritage House. Dr. Jose Corteza Locsin Ancestral House is a two-story house built in the 1939 in Silay City, Negros Occidental, Philippines. It has been named as a Heritage House of the Philippines by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines in the year 1995. The Heritage House was owned by the family of Jose Corteza Locsin, a Filipino doctor and politician in Silay City. The next is the Digna Locsin Kunsing Heritage House. It is a two-story heritage house owned by the family of Digna Locsin Kunsing in the city of Silay. Because of its cultural, architectural, and historical significance, it is one of the recognized and declared heritage houses of the Philippines by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines. Next, we have the Generoso Reyes Gamboa Heritage House. It is formerly one of the traditional heritage houses. It was built in the year 1898. This site is now popularly known among tourists as bed and breakfast. It is now called the 1898 Casa and Restaurante. The Generoso Reyes Gamboa Heritage House is also considered to be the first twin house of the Philippines that built in 1898. Next is the Teodoro Morada Ancestral House. It is a two-story heritage house owned by the family of Teodoro Morada in Silay City, Negros Occidental. Because Teodoro Morada Ancestral House is painted white, it is called by the locals as the White House. It was built in the early 1900s and was declared as a heritage house pursuant to board resolution of the NHCP. Next is the Jose Ledesma Heritage House. It was built in the year 1917. This ancestral house is home to Jose Pitong Ledesma, a renowned Silaynon pianist, conductor, and philanthropist. He is known for his sonata, Tanda di Valse, which was a masterpiece. On several occasions, Pitong Ledesma brought operettas and zarzuelas to perform in Silay. Next is the Maria Ledesma Goles Heritage House. It is one of the registered house in Silay. This house is along the road, which is easy to recognize and locate because of its grandeur architectural design. It is still standing and proud. This heritage house is already used as commercial bank place by one of the banking companies of the Philippines. And now, let's have a look to the other different historical sites and landmarks.